Welcome back. I am John P. Today we are going to be talking about Cartier watches, and particularly a newly announced model from the Watches and Wonders 2022 event that I believe is going to skyrocket in price. Now I'm going to explain this and explain exactly why I think this is going to happen based on some models that have happened in the past. And the reality is Cartier is a brand that is just on fire currently. So I think this is certainly one to watch out for. Now, before we do that, on the wrist today, Anacar Sherpa Dive. I love this watch, very cool. And I have it on one of my straps, SinclairStraps.com, for the best premium watch straps from the same manufacturers that make them from your favorite or for your favorite watch brand, SinclairStraps.com. So without further ado, the Cartier watch that is going to skyrocket in price, in my opinion, is the newly released Santos Dumont Lacquer Bezel. Now, first of all, this watch is a classic icon. The Dumont line is absolutely become synonymous with Cartier, aside from the tank and some of the other models that you know. The Santos Dumont seems to be the more refined watch from the offerings that watch collectors really have gravitated towards in recent times, the last 3, 4, 5 years. Now, I think this is probably because of the more classic stylings in the watch, very subtle, very understated, and more small, really, is the best way you could put it. The case is smaller than some of the other offerings, the more contemporary offerings that Cartier produces, and that kind of, in my opinion, at least what I see, gets more of the watch enthusiasts going, particularly with this model, because it's more classic. It's more where Cartier came from as a watch producer decades ago. So it's more in line with what Cartier offers and a little less contemporary. That seems to be where watch collectors are going in a certain way. Now, this recently announced lacquer version of the Cartier Santos Dumont comes in 3 versions. It comes in a steel with black lacquer, it comes in a rose gold with kind of this beige lacquer, and it comes in a platinum with this burgundy or a red lacquer. Now you'll see the pictures here, but this watch, these versions of the watch have absolutely captivated watch enthusiasts, collectors, magazines, as well as especially Cartier enthusiasts, because it takes that classic Santos Dumont model, puts a little bit of something extra and unique into it with production capabilities and materials that are the lacquer inlay there. But aside from that, it also is inspired by vintage watches that would sometimes use these types of methodologies. There were brands, even including Hamilton, that would produce similarly seeming kind of that Art Deco style watch. And it's a little something vintage inspired mixed with modern components and technology, but also in this kind of in-between case size. They're large case size, not the extra large, not the small, which just happens to be a bit of a smaller watch. So I think it really kind of ticks so many boxes for so many people, myself included. And it's a very thin watch, right? It does feature the Piaget Cal 430P, or Cartier's rendition of this watch is going to be a hand wind movement. So it is going to have that very heritage feel to it, right? As opposed to some of the more, automatic watches or even the quartz watches, like the Must-Stay, by the way, which I'm hopefully going to be purchasing from the Cartier boutique. The black dial also just announced, a very cool deep black dial. Really like that watch. I think that's another watch to look out for. But particularly with this lacquer rendition of the Cartier Santos Dumont, not only does it have such buzz surrounding it, especially for where Cartier was 5 years ago. There's so much more buzz there is today compared to the yesteryears, but also 2 of these watches are limited. And when we see limited watches from Cartier, especially a line like this, there have been other Santos Dumonts, like for the Dubai Watch Club, as well as there's been a platinum version and other versions that Cartier have produced in other models in platinum. They always climb up in price within the last handful of years coming from the release date, and particularly the watches are limited, right? 150 of the platinum versions will only be released, 250 of the rose, and steel doesn't have a number, but it seems like the steel version is going to be not limited, but probably still somewhat difficult to obtain just with the way that the buzz is surrounding this model. So when you have a watch like that from Cartier, the retail price is oftentimes kind of the baseline for this watch. The days are kind of gone on getting a discount on Cartier watches. I think 5 years ago, Cartier didn't have the demand that it sees today because it was still coming out of that era from the Roadster and some of the models like the Ronde and the Tank Solos and things where they didn't really have an entire product collection that was desirable. But today, Cartier is doing such amazing things. The Santos Galbe, the XL, now this, even the Tank American, which has been a model that has been overlooked for the most part of the last 5, 6, 7 years, has really itself gained a bit of a following. Cartier is so hot right now. We see it at Del Rey Watch, and also just talk with the people at the Cartier boutiques. They see the demand at their level as well. There's not a lot on the shelves. Cartier is doing really well. So if I were you, if you like these watches, I would try to go to your Cartier boutique that's closest to you, express your interest, fill out the form, because I think the platinum and the rose versions of this watch are going to hit the secondhand or the aftermarket at such a great increase in pricing compared to the retail price. And I think going into the future, these are going to be collectible watches. What do you guys think about Cartier and particularly these lacquer renditions of the Santos Dumont? Obviously, I seem to really like them and enjoy them. I may even consider picking up the steel version. But what do you guys think? Leave that in the comments below. Also, please do not forget to check out delreywatch.com. Thumbs up, like, and subscribe. I appreciate it. And you can find me on Instagram, The Real John P. Thanks, guys. You've been chatting with John P.